So welcome back to the channel, guys. This is the Ninch Movies, and today I'm going to be doing a ranking video. I've done a couple of these in the past on Star Wars, Kevin Smith films, even the Pixar films. So I thought I was due to come back and make a new list video. Recently, I've been watching the Pirates of the Caribbean films over again. It's been some years since I revisited the films, and rather than doing individual reviews, I thought this was the best way to do it. If you're a movie buff like I am, I'm sure you guys would have seen every one of these films. I just want to see how my rankings differ to my audience here. So definitely leave me a comment down below of how you would personally rank the films. I apologize about this weird ass shadow on my face as well. It's like first thing in the morning, I'm like, I gotta get this video out, man. So we're gonna do the best we can. It's a bright ass day outside. It's actually Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. So I'm gonna do this list simply from worst to best. It's the easiest way to do it. And I'm gonna start off with number 5 being Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tells No Tales. Correction, Dead Men Tell No Tales. That would make much more sense. Released in 2017, this is the 5th installment and it's getting my number 5 position simply for the fact that this is not a good movie. This is the one in the entire series that I can utterly say I would happily never watch again. From start to finish, it is a snooze fest, and I know this to be exactly true simply for the fact that on a rewatch of this, I fell asleep twice. It took me so long to get through this goddamn movie. On my original viewing, I remember doing the exact same thing. I fell asleep, I wake up, and they're at the Trident of Poseidon. Like every single time, there's some meat in the middle that just gets so goddamn boring that I just fall asleep every single time. I feel like, obviously with the years in between going past, you know, the actors get older, and I'm not blaming it on age, but everyone in this goddamn movie just did not want to be there. I felt like they tried to make it like a reunion piece, with On Stranger's Tides only really having Jack Sparrow in it and not the rest of the cast. They did have Gibb, but you know what I mean. A majority of the cast came back from the original trilogy, but did they want to be there? I couldn't believe it, honestly. I felt like the stunts in this film, you know, they've always been sort of unbelievable in the series what Jack Sparrow can, you know, accomplish and things like that. But from the opening scene when the bank's getting robbed or the vault's getting robbed and they just pull this building across the city, I was like, it's not hitting the same. The comedy doesn't hit the same. The acting, as I said, is just hollow. Everyone's a shell of themselves. What they did to Barbossa in this film is a goddamn crime. They make up this sort of plotline of children. The young fella that plays Will Turner's kid in this, goddamn, when I looked up his IMDb, it makes sense. He's from Australia. I believe this film was actually filmed in Australia. The one compliment I will give it is the oceans and all the sort of actual visual aspects of sea look really, really appealing. But the young actor to play Will Turner's son, dog shit. Just straight up an awful actor in this film. He's from Australia. He's from a soap opera we have here called Home and Away. And don't get me wrong, we've had plenty of stars come out of that show. But this man is not it. I haven't seen him in anything else. Maybe he's improved. But in this movie, wooden acting. With the plot of the Trident of Poseidon, that sounds so goddamn interesting, but it's just the execution is just so goddamn boring. I felt like the villain aspect is the weakest of the series. They had that weird jank AI from 2017 of young Jack Sparrow. I hated that. And like I said, the send-off they gave Barbossa was just not it for me. I thought this movie just failed on every attempt. It's a solid 1 star for me personally. Like, I would happily never watch this again. Easily the worst in the series. Coming in at my number 4 position, no surprises here, is Pirates of the Caribbean On Stranger Tides. This one released in 2011, pretty consistently with the original trilogy. You know, it's in the right timeline. Nobody's too old. Everyone's, you know, still sort of passionate about the project. Of course, this is the first one that is predominantly just about Jack Sparrow. And I thought this movie, you know, it's not original trilogy good, but this is actually a much better rewatch. I was happy to rewatch this film. It wasn't a bore. I thought The Fountain of Youth was really, really interesting. The only real gripe that I had is the mermaid plotline, this sort of love story that they made up. I just thought that was a waste of screen time personally. Overall, this is like just a solid entry. I don't really have too much to say, good or bad. It's just a decent watch. I feel like Johnny Depp still was in love with the character. The movie made enough money to warrant a sequel, you know, Dead Men Tell No Tales. It doesn't have the same sort of love that the original trilogy has, but it's a solid movie. I think The Fountain of the Youth is much more interesting than, of course, the Trident of Poseidon, even though that the Trident of Poseidon could have been good. It was just, you know, that god-awful film. Yeah, I thought the adventure was fun. Blackbeard is seriously intimidating. I enjoy how his ship is actually a part of who he is. It's all controlled by his sword. And he's really a decent villain, much better. Blackbeard is seriously much more interesting. He's a selfish character. Overall, on Stranger's Tides, I don't have too much to say about it other than it's decent. You know, it's a decent pirate film. If the other three, the original trilogy I'm talking about, didn't exist, this would be a solid flick. But because you're comparing it to such an epic trilogy, it just sort of falls a little bit flatter. You do need that, you know, strong cast of side characters, and this one just doesn't really have it. Once again, a lot of wasted screen time on some odd romance with the mermaid. That is my number 4 position. So coming in at my number 3 position, this is actually where it gets a little interesting. We're talking about the original trilogy here. A lot of people are huge fans of this franchise, as they should be. Once again, on a rewatch, if you have not watched Pirates of the Caribbean, the original trilogy, in some time, go check it out. It gets better with age. It is so goddamn good. I am nostalgic for the series. I grew up watching it. And my number 3 position is going to go to the 2003 original film, The Curse of the Black Pearl. This is where your comments are going to be the most interesting, because I feel like unanimously a lot of people would put this in number 1. I can see that. You know, there's plenty of argument for it. The whole franchise would have never taken off if this film wasn't as good as it was. I feel like the whole plot line with the Aztec gold, all the introductions to the characters we now know and love. Barbossa is a serious threat in this film. I think this is, you know, Barbossa at his very, very best. The action is fun, the comedy is good, you really are sold on this character of Jack Sparrow. I think this is just a fantastic movie, and obviously the Black Pearl itself, the ship, is such a long-running sort of side character in a way in this franchise. Like, the Black Pearl is referenced more time in this franchise than I think any boat I've ever heard of. All the visual effects still hold up really, really well. I think some of the scenes with, you know, the moonlight hitting the sailors and, you know, them becoming skeletons is really, really impressive. The love storyline between Will and Elizabeth is sort of at its corniest here. I guess maybe they haven't been on screen together, you know, as of yet. This is the first time, and it just doesn't really have the dynamic it does in later films. But Jack Sparrow is probably at his very best. Johnny Depp is super young here, super, you know, vibrant. It is interesting to read the backstories that Jim Carrey was actually originally meant to play Jack Sparrow, but complications with him filming Bruce Almighty. I love Jim Carrey, and there's a lot of mannerisms that could have worked for him, but Johnny Depp was born to play this role. I think it's a fantastic first entry. Easily, if this is your favorite, I could completely understand and agree with you. Moving on to my number 2 position is the 2007 epic finale to the trilogy, and that is At World's End. I saw this movie on original release in the cinema. It has so many goddamn quotable lines to me. I think, honestly, I was never a person that got real into like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm not, you know, hating on it. I know it's a big franchise for a lot of people, but this trilogy, man, has that same sort of appeal to me, like that sort of epic finale. We've been waiting years to see how this story is going to wrap up. This particular film obviously is the story of Davy Jones and his crew. The heart is now in the control of the government, more or less. Music is at its all-time best in this film. I will say that the music in this is definitely the best in the franchise. The final act, the actual battle, I don't think I've ever seen a sword fight. It's comparable to like a Revenge of the Sith type ending battle scene. There's very few movies that do it this well. It is so goddamn well done. Like, honestly, the action in this film is fantastic. You're 3 movies in there, so you care a lot more about the characters. You know, the devastating loss of Will at the end of the film actually really hits your it tugs at your heartstrings because you care about these characters now. I think it's like the perfect bow. Me personally, as you can see, we're still waiting on my number 1. You guys would know what's coming. I find the Davy Jones character arc to be the best by far that they ever did. Once again, talking about special effects, the CGI that Disney did for these movies, I don't know how it holds up so goddamn well from 2007, Dead Man's Chest being even earlier. It still looks like some of the best CGI I've ever seen on screen. It is so goddamn good. This movie was so influential to me and my brother. Shout out Mayor Hairbear. He actually used to have a book, my brother, and he would create his own Sea People, if you will, because we love these movies so much, and the character designs that they came up with were so goddamn impressive. I feel like at the time, a lot of people, like at the time of release, a lot of people really, really shit on 2 and 3. Dead Man's Chest and At World's End. I think if you give it a rewatch, man, this is some of the best cinema that ever has been. I honestly think just the original trilogy, Pirates of the Caribbean is one of the most debatably one of the best franchises that we've ever had. It came out of goddamn Disney, man. It has no right to be as good as it is, and it's just everything, man. And then we have, coming at number one, no surprises here, we have Dead Man's Chest. The reason I put this above At World's End, because a lot of people would say, you know, why are you putting sort of the middleman at number one? I feel like At World's End is just as good as Dead Man's Chest. I could nearly just flip them around, but I feel like At World's End is only as good as it is because we had Dead Man's Chest. I feel like if it was just one completely long-ass film, it would just be a perfect thing. It's the stepping stone that we need to get At World's End. This is where the characters are all flushed out. You get to meet Davy Jones. It's actually about getting the heart the whole film. I feel like the best comparison I can make is this film feels darker than the original. I'm not going to say that, you know, Curse of the Black Pearl is a Philosopher's Stone or a Chamber of Secrets in Harry Potter, but Dead Man's Chest is definitely a Prisoner of Azkaban in terms of darkness, how it just improved. Prisoner of Azkaban being my favorite of the Harry Potter franchise as well. It was just a step in the right direction. I thought it was fantastic. The Kraken, man, lives on in my memory. Like, I thought it was a seriously intimidating final act. The black spot, everything about this, you get introduced to, once again, the sea people. You get Bootstrap Bill Turner, you get Davy Jones, you get that weird little hermit crab guy that gets his head knocked. This spawned so many memes, of course, you know, the jar of dirt meme. It is honestly a fantastic movie. This one got so much hate on release, and I just don't get it, man, because this is by far my favorite. On a rewatch, I can happily say it once again. I have no arguments if you flip the original trilogy around. It's all about perspective. But once again, me and my personal opinion, I think that the Davy Jones arc was way better. The opening scene on the cannibalistic island is goddamn insane. It's funny, it's fun, it's action-packed. Once again, the battle scenes, I just feel are like at an all-time high, something I haven't really seen in cinema before. When they're on the island and they're going around on that big sort of wheel-based obstacle. Yeah, man, on a rewatch, I just thought this was everything I ever wanted. It made me love Pirates of the Caribbean again, and hence why I'm doing this. I thought I could do individual reviews, but a ranking system just made it so much more sense to me at the time. With the passion that I'm talking about Dead Man's Chest, At World's End, Curse of the Black Pearl, it really just sends home how goddamn awful that last film was. It actually is just sort of upsetting to me. It's given me flashbacks of ranking the Star Wars films. You had a golden opportunity, and realistically, you should have just let it die. The trilogy would have just been perfect. Of course, people are going to want more, but do the actors even want to be there for a fifth film, playing the same role again and again? I don't know, man, but if you guys have not rewatched Pirates of the Caribbean recently, definitely do so. Leave this video a like, add it to your favorites, and subscribe. I appreciate you checking out my ranking video. This is The Ninch Movies, and I'm signing out. Oos.